Going on, guys? RDAP Dan here, Federal Prison Time Consulting, People Helping People, Communities Method. And today we are here with none other than Matt Cox as we're exposing one of the nastiest fraudsters I've come across in the last few years. This guy that goes by the name of Dr. Richard Diffenderfer, or Dr. D, or Dr. Rick, or Dr. R, whatever he does. He's got a million different names, or he runs his cons out of, pretends to be a doctor, helping people get substance abuse evaluations. So me and Matt are going to go into a deep dive, and that's coming up next. Stay tuned. All right, so we are back, and here's Matt Cox joining us. Matt, how you doing today, my man?
Great. I put on this shirt and it looks great. Oh, am I sweating?
Is that Jess's shirt?
Sweat? No, it's not Jess's shirt. It's one of those stretchy shirts, you know?
I'm just jealous. I'm just jealous because I don't fill out a shirt as well as you, Matt.
But it looks great. It looks great. And yeah, this guy, yeah, I was gonna say you described him as something, I forget, but skeezy is a good word.
Yeah, career slime ball for sure.
Slime, yeah, I mean, really, because like the scams. I'm sorry, I was just thinking when you were thinking, like, they're not huge scams.
No, but they are, because the people he's doing it to, and we're going to look at his website in a minute with
Well, I
his
mean,
services.
dollar amount. I mean, money wise.
So we'll talk about him. And I met this guy initially back in 2018. I was looking for a chemical dependency professional because, as you guys know, I'm a prison consultant. We help people get prepared to go into the prison system, and sometimes people don't have enough detail from their substance abuse issues, and they need a substance abuse professional, chemical dependency professional, to come in and do an evaluation with them to create a report that can be given to the prison to kind of maybe fill in some of the blanks that they may have about someone's history with drug abuse or alcohol abuse or prescription pills, whatever it is. I came across Dr. Richard Diffenderfer through doing some Google searches, or somebody referred him to. I can't remember. He seemed to come off legit initially. He has like a radio station and he's doing all these things to help people. So he and I had a couple conversations and it went pretty well. So I decided to test him with one of my clients. One of my clients was getting ready to go to prison and needed a evaluation done, and his price was pretty fair. So we went ahead and did the evaluation. When the evaluation came back, it was definitely, you could tell there were some red flags right away, like spelling and grammar. I get it. Not everybody's, an ace when it comes to grammatical issues, but the spelling and grammar was just horrendous. So when I sent it back to him, he's like, "Oh, I forgot to turn on spell check," and went back and forth. But eventually sent me a report that we ended up not even using. I had to hire another chemical dependency professional to move forward. And I just kind of stopped working with him. And then a month later, one day I get a phone call from my bank, TD Bank, and it says there's suspicious activity on your account. So I wouldn't even have known it if this hadn't happened. And I pressed 1 to hear the activity. And this guy went in and he dinged my card 2 different times, one for like 500 and one for, I think, like $1,000 additional money. So of course I call him and he's denying it, and he's saying that this is money I owed him, and just going back and forth. When he ran my credit cards,
I'm sorry, did you call him?
oh, of course I called him. He didn't answer the phone. He was responding by text, and I still have all of the text messages and all of the emails going back and forth. And he told me, "I called you for 3 weeks and you didn't return my calls. This is monies that you owed me." So I'm thinking, this guy, is he really? At first I thought maybe he was just confused. So I sent him a copy of the invoice he sent me, the money that was paid. There was clearly nothing else that was owed. Then I get a call from one of the client that I had referred him, the first client that I sent him on a test. And I was very transparent with my client. I said, "Look, I've never used this guy before. I don't know much about him. Here's his online presence. He's got a radio station. He's an older gentleman. He was like 67 or 68 at the time. So he just seemed like somebody that, like a grandpa kind of a guy." And my client, went through the process, and of course the report was garbage. So we had to end up spending like an additional $1,500 to get the report done the right way. But then my client goes to prison, and I get a text message or an email, or maybe it was a phone call from his wife, and said, "Hey, Dan, do you know what these charges are for?" And I'm like, "What charges are you referring to?" And she sends me a screenshot. He charged another, I think it was $2,000 or $3,000 to my client's credit card the day after he went in prison. Waited for my client to go in prison, then dinged his credit card.
Nice.
Yeah. So Yeah,
Like, he was
just
like
straight grimy, dude. So I text him on it, and we'll call the client John for all intents and purposes. That's not his real name, but we'll call him John. He said, "Well, I'm on John's core links, and John authorized me to do this. He's not going to like it when exact words were he's not going to like it when he hears about this, Dan." I was like, "Hears about what?" So I call his wife and I said, "Well, he says that John gave him permission to run the credit card." She's like, "Absolutely not." So we go through this whole thing round and round and round, and he just starts telling me, he goes, I've contacted RDAP and I've done all about your sham. Um, yeah, I'm just like, dude, I don't care. So I called the police. At first, I called the police where he lives, which I believe he lives in Las Vegas. His online addresses and his Facebook address, it all says California, but and his real name's not even Richard. I found out it's like Rick or Ricky or some shit like that. He's got like a million different aliases, and the police department in Las Vegas said, "Well, we can't do anything because you live." At this time, I lived in Washington State. Said, "You live in Washington, so you got to contact your police department in Washington." So I contact Washington, and getting somebody to like move on this was really really hard. I had to stay on it, stay on it, stay on it. I disputed the charges and I won the dispute, but I was still going after him for identity fraud because he was doing this under false pretenses, running people's credit cards without authorization. So finally, I got this detective that was kind of interested in it, and I showed the detective. And then we found a story about this guy where he got in trouble years ago uh, for doing some fraudulent activity where he was renting houses and then basically renting a house with like 5 or 6 bedrooms, and then renting the rooms out as sober living houses to these individuals.
right.
He
Do
was
you want
charging
I'm sorry, do you wanna show
the
the
video.
video?
Yeah, let's show the video.
What how
So
much was he charging too? It was a couple grand, wasn't it a
yeah,
grand?
some people, first, last, and security, your family members. If anybody's ever been through any kind of a treatment or detox or anything like that, these sober houses, especially for something that's halfway decent in a decent area, just for a room, it can be $500 to $1,000 in some cases a week, and they want a certain amount of money up front. So you got people that are desperate to fix their lives and get their life on track, and then this is where Dr. Richard came in and kind of destroyed some people. But they did a nice clip on him on a news station that we pulled the video from that we're going to share with you guys right now.
All right, this should be good.
Dr. D, he's at it again. More clients are getting evicted from his sober houses in Northern California.
Yeah, the ABC 7 News I team has also learned Dr. D is now under criminal investigation for possible theft and fraud.
Dan Noyes is here with an update. Dan.
Hama and Dan, I first investigated Dr. D after his clients in Sonoma County came to me for help. And now I've heard from his clients in the Central Valley that they're getting evicted too. Richard Diffenderfer has packed houses around Northern California with people looking for a safe place to live and stay clean. He advertises himself as a doctor for Harmony Mountain Treatment, providing sober living environments and counseling services. After hearing complaints, the I-team checked into his background. His doctorate is an online degree in life experience. He's not certified by the state for any form of counseling, and he has a criminal record, fraud and grand theft auto. Now, the I-team has confirmed he's under investigation again, this time in Rohnert Park.
We have 2 active investigations occurring right now of reports of theft and fraud.
Those investigations began after his clients got evicted. They blamed Dr. D for taking their money but not paying rent. The I-team has learned Dr. D is also far behind on payments for 2 homes in Modesto. 13 people lived in this sober house on Maple Avenue, but they have to find somewhere to move.
So we started worrying, well, is he doing the same down here? And he did, taking money from people, knowing that they weren't going to have a place to live.
This client doesn't want to show his face or use his name as he tries to move on with his life.
I'm out actively looking daily on my computer all the time, trying to find a new residence.
This is an enormous strain on people who are at a vulnerable point in their lives. I spoke with one woman in Rohnert Park living in her car for the first time after giving Dr. D her last money for rent. That was her last money she had. As a result, for the first time in her life, she is on the streets because of you.
That's not true.
How do you feel about that?
That is not true.
Diana Schwen owns houses in Modesto and Rohnert Park, but says she has lost so much money from Dr. D's unpaid rent that she now has to sell.
I just feel really bad, for the people that I've had to put out because of him. but I had no choice.
The owner of this house in Modesto says Dr. D owes him $13,000, but the owner has made arrangements with a sober house manager, allowing the tenants to stay. She's also bringing over some of Dr. D's former clients from the other Modesto home.
I talked to the owner and had them to turn the house over to me so I can help people out because they wouldn't have nowhere to go. They'll be out on the street.
That's after Diffenderfer's wife, Kate, texted her about the eviction saying, "You must inform clients that they have to find a place to move to. It will no longer be Harmony Mountain treatment due to financial collapse." I reached Dr. D's wife by phone. She declined to go on camera, but confirmed he is out of business and that she hasn't seen him since our first report. Dr. D has not returned my calls for a follow-up interview. And if you have a tip, call 1-888-40-ITEAM or send me an email through the iTeam page at ABC 7 News.
Great.
So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts seeing that, Matt? If this happened to like your mother or somebody that, or a brother or somebody you were trying to put into recovery and this happened, how would you feel?
Is it, it's what's you're so serious. Like my view of this is it's like, God, if my scumbaggery level was just a little bit, a little bit lower, like this is semi total scumbag guy, but semi-brilliant. I mean, it's like, it doesn't take any real skill. Well, I'm sorry, it does take some skill to pull this off. So how would I feel if it was my mom or my brother or my sisters? Obviously, I mean, the guy's a piece of garbage. I know that. I mean, I could sit here and say, oh, I'd be furious and pissed off. But what I'm thinking of is how this guy keeps doing this and how
Yeah.
did he pull off the scam? Think about it. He set up a website, calls himself a doctor, rents out a place, convinces you it's a sober living home. You pay a couple thousand up front, and then he never makes another payment. Like as soon as he gets it full, he stops paying and he could start fighting the evictions. I'll bet you could get this, you could hold the evictions off for a sober living home months, 3-4 months. And how much is he bringing in? I mean, let's say it's 4 bedrooms.
I don't think he's that bright though. To be honest,
mean,
I think he gets the money and doesn't even try to fight it. He just takes the money, and I mean, he might even be one of these nut jobs that has good intentions when he does it. He just doesn't follow through. He doesn't have any paperwork, and he just gets in over his head every single time he tries something.
Well, I mean, that could be true, but then how come we've got multiple scams? This isn't the first scam.
It's true.
I mean, and how come he bills you for, $1,000 and then rebills you for $1,500 and then rebills this guy's wife for more money? I mean, he's a scumbag.
And he's kind of like a kid that you catch the kid stealing, and you catch the kid with the candy in his pocket, and it's like, you've got the candy in your pocket. No, I don't. It's like, I can see it right there. I don't have any candy. He sticks to his line, doubles down when he's completely red-handedly caught. And I think that's what kind of makes this guy interesting, because look, you and I both been through our own troubles. So it's not about coming after somebody who made a mistake. But his mistakes go back into the 80s. If you Google him, and we'll pull up his report in a second, he had an issue with these prostitutes that he was paying, and he bought both of them a car with fake checks. He wrote checks to a dealership and got charged with grand theft auto because he left with the cars for these strippers. I mean, the guy, he's very, very he's willing to take a lot of risk, and I think there's just really been no real consequences have come his way. So he's just kind of gotten away with it for, the last 70 something years of his life.
Well, I mean, and so, okay, but he keeps doing it. He keeps getting these, and he runs these little scams, and he gets himself $5,000 or $10,000, and he moves on to the next scam. He gets himself $5,000 or $10,000, and like,
we live in a world now though where people are so hurt and so like desperate and down and depressed, where You cross the wrong person now, over 20, $30, you could end up dead. Somebody could show up at his house and club him to death. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
but can you track him down? I mean, I understand that news organization did, but how many different aliases has he got? How many different websites are there?
Well, the good thing is when we pull up his report here in a second, which, oh, also, by the way, guys, if anybody has had any run-ins with Dr. D or Dr. Richard Diffenderfer, I created here, I'll pull it up just so everybody can see it real quick. We have a Google form. So if anybody wants to, if anybody's had any issues with him and you don't know what to do, I would love to put together. There's a link in the description of this video where you can click and you can fill this out, hit submit. It'll come back to us, and it's real basic. But yeah, so you make definitely, if you've had any issues with him, do yourself a favor and report it. Create a police report, go online, click on this link, and submit the information. If you've spoken to any officers, you have a police report, give it to us, and I'm going to compile as much information I can to try to bring this guy down. I'm honestly kind of excited about this. It's been a rough year, so this guy kind of stepping into the line of fire with his stupidity has just made it kind of like a nice area to expunge the aggression.
What was? I'm sorry. Go ahead. You have.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was going to say, what was the other thing where you said there was somebody was suing him and they contacted you?
Yeah, so it's a current. They were going to come on today. They were going to join us, but we decided to keep them quiet right now because it's an existing client of his, or a patient, whatever you want to call them, who's already found out about his fraudulent ways, already knows that they're being scammed, hasn't paid him a whole lot of money, but spoke to him even after. He knows that there's basically a mole that it's going to make him very paranoid about who he deals with right now. So yeah, we have an inside mole who's currently working with him that's trying to extract more information to bring Dr. D to the ground.
I was just thinking, it's like, I wonder, like, there was a kid, and I want to say he was in Tampa. He literally put out like a shingle, said he was a doctor.
Was this the black kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did it twice, I think.
Yeah.
He's like 16. It's like Doogie Howser.
He's charging people money.
Yeah. MD. I don't understand how anybody you didn't know the kid was 15 years old. He looked like Spud Webb.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get these people. There was a scam that was that's happening. I want to say it was somewhere in Florida where and I'm going to kind of dissect the scam. Like, I don't know exactly how the person was doing it. They make it sound like they pretended to be, or they set up a fake title company. They were accepting money. They were taking down payments for houses. And what really I think was happening was they were maybe renting out an Airbnb for a week, putting it putting it up for sale. People were coming to see it, saying, "Oh my gosh, what a great deal!" They were accepting like $5,000 down in cash, or $5,000 down, depositing that money in their account, and they did this, multiple times, and ended up getting, I'm going to say, whatever, I don't know what it was, a couple $100,000, let's say. I could be off on that, but yeah, they got a couple $100,000. And what kills me is, like, all you have to do to pull this off is put it on Craigslist and a couple other, free websites, and you could call a real estate agent, or put it on put it up on for sale by owner, and open a corporation and a corporate bank account in somebody's name. Like, it's nothing to pull that scam off. Like, it's very little. And yet these two women did it that were in their early 20s, and they both pulled it off and made several $100,000 with very little experience. And it takes no skill, no money up front, and no skill.
And there's a lot of those scams. That's why when people are like looking for like rental properties or whatnot, or rent's so high right now, everybody's scrambling trying to find a place to live. They're going on Craigslist, and they'll find this nice house that's just, the price is so ridiculously low that should be the red flag. But people will call it up, and they're like, "Well, if you want to go drive by it, let me know what you think, and if you like it, we can get you to move in right away. I'm out of town, or I'm out of the country till Tuesday, but if you want to give me a deposit, I won't, I'll hold it for you. And they take a deposit of a few $100 to $1,000, whatever they think they can get. And come to find out they have no actual ties to this house at all. It's just complete fraud.
Yeah.
Or the house isn't even for sale or rent. But yeah, you're right. They're a dime a dozen, and it's buyer beware. We've probably never lived in a greater time of like the era of cons, because it's so easy now to mask your IP, to mask your internet, to mask who you are, and just dupe people left and right. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there, that will fall for these things, especially when you're in a desperate situation.
Anonymity. Yeah, you can just disappear.
Yep.
What I always wondered was how they were getting the money. Like, are you getting a couple grand cash, which is weird, or are you saying, okay, write the title? Because they said they impersonated a title company, so they were probably saying you can deposit this money in the title company. Now, I knew a guy. It's funny because I knew a guy that was running a scam. His scam was actually, it was actually, he was a straight con man, guy from New York. And anyway, he basically, the way he was opening up bank accounts was he would go out to clubs, meet some girl. He had a lot of money, and he'd say, "Hey, I'll give you a couple grand if you'll go open a bank account."
Yeah.
And they would be like, "What?" He'd go, "Yeah, yeah, this is what I do." And he would tell them he had some kind of thing where it wasn't necessarily fraud, or maybe they knew it was a fraud. But whereas like people are going to deposit money in your account, you're going to get this much of the money. You'll get, 20% of the money. And in about 2 months from now, we're going to close down the account. And then you can just say you didn't open the account. Really? Yeah, trust me, I do it all the time. Now, of course, really the FBI shows up and you're a
Of
part of
course.
the scam.
Done.
But like these women, he did this for years. Nobody ever knew who he was. And what he was doing was he was calling people. Listen to this. Did you ever do timeshares?
Uh, I didn't do them, but well, I did for a day, but it seemed so shady that
Yeah.
I left. And you're talking about the scam where if you're trying to get rid of your timeshare, we got a buyer.
Yeah. Oh, there's tons of them. There's
Yeah.
tons of them. Like there's tons of them. Like maybe we have a buyer, or maybe they're trying to get you into it, or maybe they're trying to they're gonna there's all kinds of different scams.
The big one that I saw that really became like mainstream media was people trying to get rid of their timeshares, and they would get a phone call saying, "Hey, we've got a buyer. They've already made a deposit. We're ready to move on this. All you got to do is pay some like taxes or whatever. It's like $1,500 in taxes, and then closing will be in like 3 days." And really, there's no buyer. There's none of that. They were just collecting money. And then these same people that were running that scam would go back around and say, "Hey, we can help you fight your bank to get the money on a chargeback."
Yeah.
So they were going back
Hit 'em
around.
again. Well, so here's what happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they are ripe for this. Listen to what this guy did. This guy went and got people that owed money on timeshares. Like maybe they had a timeshare, they never sold it, and like they just stopped paying. They stopped
Right.
paying and they were in collections or something for the timeshare. So he gets a list of them. He calls up. He actually does the spoof app so that it shows he's calling from like the Hilton or something, which is whatever wherever the timeshare was. Let's say it's Hilton Gardens. So he actually he would call you from a phone number that showed up saying Hilton Gardens. And so he would call these people up, and they hadn't paid their monthly dues on the timeshare in 4 years. So he'd call them up and he'd say, "Hey, listen, you had a timeshare. Here's the here's the plaza, or the project you were in." They go, "Yeah, it's on this. Here's the address. This is you." They go, "Yes, it's me. Look, I don't have the money." They go, "No, no, no, you don't understand. I understand you're behind on your dues, but we actually have someone who's where the whole complex is selling." Are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, sorry. He would say the whole complex is sold. So I'm not trying to get your dues. What I'm trying to say is that you were never properly like foreclosed on, let's say. So you're
Right.
still on the title.
You meet this guy, just a guy that was in prison.
I met him in prison, and he was so shisty, man. He was so shisty. And so what he would do is so he talked to these people and he'd say, "Look, here's the thing. your title, your timeshare sold, and your portion of the timeshare is, it's not much. It's like $42,000. And they would be like, really? He'd go, yes. And we can get you that. We have a closing set up at this time. However, and we can take the taxes, we can take all this stuff out of that, but you have to pay the back, whatever it is, the back monthly dues. And and then he would come up with some number. It's 15,000, whatever it was. Sometimes it was $5,000, $6,000, whatever it was. He had a way to come up with. It was just enough that they could pay it. And so what they would do is they would write him a check for like $7,000 or $4,000, whatever it came to, and he would deposit that money in the girl's bank account. So
And
the
they give her 20% and
give her, but keep in mind, he's getting people every single day. He's calling 100 people a day, and he's getting like 5 or 6 people a day that are paying.
right.
And so then they would keep, and here's what he did, which was great as far as a scam, scammer's point of view. He maintained the scam. Most people get the money and they run. They stop answering the phone after that. Like, I've got the money, and they run away like a fucking idiot. What he did was this: the closing is scheduled for this time. And if they said anything like, you said it was closing at this time, he would say, no, I know I did, but there's problems with the developer, blah, blah, blah. You can call the title company. And he had another phone number that they could call, like the title company. And the title company would say, yes, you're listed among, there's 260 people in the complex. You're one of them. We do have a closing scheduled. It was scheduled for on Tuesday, but it's not happening Tuesday. Now it's happening on whatever day it is, right? So they would do a whole thing. And so he could keep these people off for a month or two. And what eventually happened is that way he could load up as much money in this girl's account. She's giving him the money in cash. She's the only one on record, and she doesn't know his name because he met her in a club. She has a cell phone, and that's it. So she's got a cell. So when the police show up 2 months later to say, hey, you had $200,000 run through your account for this scam, and she's like, what? I didn't know it was a scam. Even though she probably did know it was a scam, she would then turn around and they'd say, well, who is it? His name is Mike. Mike. Well, these people said his
Mike
name
who?
is Tom. He goes by Tom, by Mike, by John,
Right.
by whatever. Well, do you know him? I have his phone number. Give his phone number. What phone number is? Oh, we already have that phone number. That's one of his scam numbers.
We had a client do the exact same scam. He rented out a small industrial hardware office kind of, had a bunch of guys in there on burner phones, and would go around to like homeless people, convince them to open up bank accounts in their name. Basically was telling them, you're going to get in trouble at some point, but you're homeless and this is a lot of money that we're getting. And what he was doing, it was either stocks or options or currency or Forex. They were calling, getting people to invest into, and then when they would wire the money, it would go into these random homeless people's accounts. The person would get, $500, $1,000. They'd go pull the money out every day and give the money to him. And he was doing, I don't even know if he ever got caught. He could still be doing this to this day, but yeah, there's a lot of people out there doing that exact same kind of fraud.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about this guy. Like, where are those checks going? Are they really going to him?
Yeah, because the problem is he's not licensed to, so let's look at his website, because if you see what he advertises on his website, he doesn't have, let's see, here he is.
I'm thinking he's not a doctor, right? Like
He's not a doctor. He's like he's got a doctor of life experience from some online cereal box thing. So if you look at it, so here's his website. If we look at his services, can you see that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
So here's the services: court law help, opioid addiction, interventions. And it says right in there, it talks about, what he's able to do. And look at, if you court help, here, let's read this one. No bail, no jail. Do you have a loved one in no bail jail? Doc Richard can help get them out. Doc Richard has helped hundreds get no bail jail by mental health evaluations and substance abuse evaluations by proposing a treatment protocol for that individual to go to court. Usually takes about a week, and wow, they're out of jail and stay out following the treatment protocol. This is how he really talks. He really talks, you know, just me reaching out to him, he'll respond and go, Dan, you and you're full of lies, you're a moron, and you need to get help. It's like, dude, you're sitting here, you're maintaining this fucking lie. You've already been caught, dude. He's like, the judge told me that you were full of shit and she didn't believe anything you said. This is what he's telling me. The judge didn't believe anything that I said, but yet right here is
like you're going to call up and talk, like he's going to talk to a federal judge. Like, you know, it's
no, he said it was in court because I didn't have to go to court for this. The state of Washington took it over, so I didn't go to court.
Oh, when
I
you
really
sued
didn't
him?
even
Did
know
you
what the
sue him?
outcome. Say it again.
What are you talking about?
What did you just say? I didn't hear you.
Did you sue him? Like what?
No, so when he ran my credit card twice,
Right.
and then he did it to my client. My client was in prison, so it was real hard for my client to fight it. I actually filed charges against him, like criminal charges for identity theft. So Spokane followed through with it, and I went and sat with the prosecutor, and his attorney came, and it was me, his attorney, the prosecutor, and some witness, and they came. We met at one of the state buildings in Spokane County, and his attorney was just he was basically mimicking everything that his clients, that Richard Diffenderfer had told him. And I about lost my shit in the room. I was like, look, man, you're representing a fucking scumbag who is doing this. I don't need to sit here and defend myself. All the proof is right here. So the prosecutor took it over from there. And this was, so you can see here, his charges was count 1 theft, obtain. I don't even know what that means, but if you Google it, you'll see. And when we look up his record that I pulled, but this is actually, right now I'm on website, County of Spokane's court system. So this was in 2022. So was that August of 2022? And he ended up taking a plea agreement. Let's see, where's that at? Guilty plea he did in 2019. So it went almost a whole year before he finally pled guilty, but he ended up pleading guilty to 2 counts of identity fraud. And then he got a suspended 12-month sentence where as long as he stays out, that's his problem, is they keep giving him these fucking suspended sentences, and he gets off of probation and then he starts doing it again. But he tried to tell me, he said, yeah, the case got thrown out and the judge said that she thinks you're an idiot and that you're a liar. I'm like, sure. I'm sure the judge said, I think Mr. Wise is an idiot and a liar.
Right. And yet the docket says something completely different.
It's got his signature on there, pleading guilty. Just like in the federal court when it says, I understand that I'm doing this on my own free will and accord. And all of this is in the link of the description in this video. So if anybody wants to pull this up, because I have a feeling there's a lot of people out there that he's taken advantage of, which we found, you and I think we looked at like Pissed Consumer. If anybody's ever been there before, he's all over Pissed Consumer. Sorry, Matt, didn't mean to cut you off there. Mm-hmm. So this is a recent one. This one was, when was the date on this one? This was that was June. I think there's another one up here. Here we go. This is August 24th of this year. You know, these are people. This man is not honest. He takes your money and gives you nothing. I hope he ends up in prison one day. You know, so there's another one. He lied about helping me with my legal matters and constantly lying about everything. He claimed my money order was lost in the mail. Found out later he had been cashed by him. He's a racist. Just all kinds of things. And there's also some stuff online on his personal report that there's potential activity that he might be a sex offender. That I can't verify, so I don't want to call him a sex offender, but there is potential sex offender activity. But these are all from this year, dude. These are all from 2022. He'll say they're all fake. Fake doctor. You know, he's not a real doctor. He's just as phony as they come. And the problem is he's taking advantage of people that are in a real bad situations. There's people that are in court that have to get evaluations done, and sometimes the court don't pay for it. So you're out there looking for an evaluation, and you come across this crackpot, you know, the charlatan scam artist who's like, yeah, I'll do it for you. pays him some money, and he doesn't produce the report, or he produces a report that just makes no sense. I wish I had the report that he did for my client. I can't find it. It was so bad. The font was like the biggest giant black fat font I'd ever seen. It looked like something that a fifth grader would put together for, like, Mom, look what I made, hang it on the fridge. And he's, that was a mistake. The guy's just a complete con artist, and he'll sit here and tell you to your face that no, none of this is true. Somehow we mysteriously, we convinced the internet to show all of this. I just don't know if anything's going to be done about it.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you've heard me say this. Like, if over the course of a year, 10 different people say you're a scumbag, like, you're probably a scumbag. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, so this guy, like, everybody's saying he's a con artist. You're a con artist. Like, how can you, what is this?
He's got a radio station, but he just sent me a message yesterday. He said, you should go listen to my radio station, Dan, and see what I'm all about. You try to go down on his radio station that he sends me, and everything on his radio station has been removed. He says he owns this radio station, which I do believe him, because the services, there's a phone number somewhere on here, and if you call the phone number, it rings to his personal phone. And that's his wife, Kate McFadden. She's another charlatan. She's right up there with him. She better be careful. We're going to do a video on her next. If this woman had any marbles left up in the noggin, she would just bail on this guy and run for the hills. But he's probably he's just such a fucking liar. Maybe he's got her bought and sold too. I don't know. How do you like that mug though? Look at that. Isn't that just the best picture you've ever seen?
I'm trying to think. Doc Richard. I want to say, God.
But yeah, we own the URL, drricharddiffenderfer.com. We bought that yesterday. So this video, we're going to put it on there, and then I have a blogger that does blogs for me. So I'm just going to have them go out and find all the information we can on this guy and just create blogs maybe once a week. So when people do a search for him, they find it. It'd be great to be able to just put everybody in one. The problem is you've got somebody complaining in one state, and they go to their local police and nothing happens. You got somebody complaining in another state, they go to their local police, nothing. There's no system that's showing that this guy is just out there like dinging people left and right. His addresses are.
I'm sorry. What about his? Did you go to his LinkedIn page?
His LinkedIn page. So you're on it now?
Dr. Richard Diffenderfer, behavior health therapist, Dr. D's Harmony, whatever.
Yeah, that's his business. That's his supposed business name.
There he is.
Here, we'll pull up because that I saw that on here. Let's go back to that.
I mean, I don't know, Dan. He looks very established. Education, University of California, Berkeley. I mean,
I'm sure he's going to tell me that this report is fake as well, or he'll tell whoever says, "Oh, I saw a video online." So this report was ordered yesterday, right? When was the 13th? What's today, Matt?
What today is the 13th. Yesterday was the 12th.
Okay, so yeah, I ordered it yesterday, got created today. So this is from Truthfinder. So you can go to truthfinder.com. You can do like background reports on whatnot, and this is all his information. So Richard Lee Diffenderfer.
We got another one here too. There's several articles about him.
Bad ones?
I mean, this is from 2016. It's the same thing. He's 66 years old. He did not have a state license to offer drug rehabilitation. This is in 2016.
Okay, yeah, so very recent.
We got another one. We got something else here. Pissed consumer. That you already looked that one up, right?
Yeah, I think that's
that was the August one. Yeah, he's got.
And he'll just say it's all a conspiracy to get him. because he plays he's a master of divinity. If you look here, education type, master certificate in Montessori math, and then a master of divinity. Nothing on here shows he has any education of any master's degree and any doctorates of anything other than a complete doctor of bullshit.
Wow. And he keeps going on and on. We gotta call him.
You want to call him?
Yeah, I want to call him. Can I call him from my number? It'll come up.
Yeah.
Well, I've got his.
You want me to give you his number?
Well, I got a phone number. Is it the 775 number?
Hold on, let me check.
That's one phone number, and then I got a coordinator's phone number.
Here, I'll give it to you right now. I got it.
Lives in Nevada.
Where's our friendly doctor?
Do we want to give it out over the thing, or are you gonna text it?
No, I'm going to give it out. It's public information. It's on his website. It's the same number on his website, so it's not like we're. What's
775?
Yeah, what's it end in?
20?
No, 775-683-1108.
Wait a minute, 775.
683.
Yeah.
1108. And this is all public information. This phone number is on his website.
Nice.
Put him on speaker if you get him on.
Got him.
This would be great.
Should say Matt Cox.
He's not going to answer. Get down to his criminal.
Hello.
Richard.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing? Listen, my name is Matthew Cox. I am a friend of RDAP Dan, or Dan Wise. I'm pretty sure you know who that is.
I didn't know his last name until you mentioned it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. RDAP Dan. We're doing you're by the way, you're being recorded right now. You're on a podcast we're doing. We were just going over your basically your whole kind of scheme that you've got going, which, in con man to con man, brilliant. I'm just wondering, like how I had some questions that Dan couldn't answer. Like, for instance, like when people are writing you checks to get into your these sober living houses, like, how are you cashing those checks? Like, do they write them directly to you?
They wrote them. I was an LLC.
Oh, you have that. Okay.
And that was 9 years ago.
I
haven't had any sober living houses for 9 years.
Oh, I thought that was 2016. The last report I saw was 2016.
No, 2015. I closed them in May 20th of 2015.
Okay, well, that's 7 years, but that's fine. Not everybody's great at math. So I have another question for you. Like, how are you getting these people? So is it just word of mouth, or is it also from LinkedIn and your website that you're getting people?
No, they were referred by the courts, and the first month was paid by the courts. They were put there. These people were sent there. They'd been convicted of crimes, and they were sent there in the promise that they wouldn't. They didn't want to go to jail, so they came there, and the reason that they were thrown out, and because they refused to stay sober, and that was a condition by the courts of their of the mercy that the court had in putting them there instead of in prison.
But that's not what the articles that I read said. They
were incorrect. They were incorrect. The articles were actually press releases from the prosecutor. They weren't real articles.
I love that you
something
sound.
That was settled a long time ago. Something that was settled a long time ago.
Honestly, listen, it's just me and you just shooting the shit, bro. Honestly, I love how convincing you are. Like, I mean, like, you're playing it.
Convincing because it's the truth. What is also the truth is that if you want to say that I'm unlicensed, that's not true either. The state of Nevada has ruled that I have every right to provide faith-based counseling, and they ruled that because they would have been in a lot of trouble if they hadn't, because it's the U.S. constitutional right.
Whatever
So
happened
I'm
with
not-
that? Whatever happened with the identity theft case?
In Spokane, Washington.
What identity theft case?
The
Spokane,
one where you would run the credit cards?
Spokane, Washington.
Because Mr. Wise gave me the credit card. He hired me to do something and didn't want to pay for it. And I thought, and then he, Mr. Wise, had a friend of his who was actually a fake detective, try to charge me, and eventually the judge laughed at it. He tried to put a felony against me. Eventually, because I got sick of driving back and forth to going back and forth to Washington, which is 800 miles.
Yeah, that's
I
ridiculous.
pled to a very minor, misdemeanor. That was a deposition. I've never heard any more from him.
So you pled guilty to a misdemeanor?
Yeah, a very minor misdemeanor.
Felony right there.
If you want, I would suggest that you get the transcript and see what the judge has to say about Mr. Wise, and his fake detective, because that's exactly what he called him.
Fake detective. I've known Dan, gosh, for a couple of years now. I haven't heard about
So
it.
why don't you request the transcript from the case? If you want to be fair.
Well,
I think that's great. I mean, I wonder. I'll have to go on and get the court reporter to write up the thing. You should come on the podcast. How about we get the transcript?
I'd be happy to do that at some future date. I'd be happy to do that.
That's all. What are you doing now?
I am a faith-based counselor in Reno, Nevada, as I have been since September of 2015.
Ask him about the newsletter and the radio station.
Yeah, I have a question. We went to your radio station.
Sure.
But there's nothing up. Like there are no recordings. There's nothing. Everything's been taken down.
Nothing's been taken down. There's still a live station there. We just switched. We're in the process of switching providers from radio.co to another company called Live 365. But the station is on 24 hours a day, 24/7. You can listen to it.
Okay. What is it? What's the handle, or what do they call it? What's it called again?
The format is KDoc Radio, for and about the doc.
KDoc. Cool. Okay. Hey, so I also went on a website where somebody had said, actually there were several. There was one back in August of this year where they had said that you had provided, they'd given you money and you were supposed to help someone with their court case, and then you never provided them anything.
I guess they were mistaken. I have provided them, and I have the treatment notes for every client that I've ever had. I have legitimate treatment notes for them, and although I can't, obviously since of HIPAA rules, I can't make them public. But if they want to sign a release, I'd be happy to do so.
I mean, there's quite a few, there's quite a few issues of people saying that you're a liar, and like by the way, and listen,
these are mostly people who unfortunately had criminal charges, and sometimes people like Mr. Wise, who spent considerable time in prison.
I get it. I get it.
And poses as a fraud to people, saying he can get them lesser federal sentence, which he can't.
Right.
And he hired me to do something. I tried to do it for him, and he didn't want to pay for it. That's really what it boiled down to.
Right. So. I actually, just to correct you, he's not posing as a fraud. You're saying he's posing as something that he's not, and he's actually a fraud. So he's not posing as a fraud. You're saying he is a fraud. But I understand what you say. What you're saying. So here's the thing. Like I actually was in federal prison myself.
Well, great.
Congratulations.
I never have been.
Well, don't worry.
Ask him about his arrest for buying prostitutes' cars with bad checks.
It's fine. So here's what.
Fine, but I never have been.
Well, I understand, but there's time. So what I'm asking you is that although I was a con man for a long time, like I didn't rack up the amount of people that were irritated in the amount of articles and investigations from, news organizations until basically all of my scams were public. What I'm just wondering is, like, with all of these little tiny kind of scams, because they're minor. Like, how have you not ended up in prison yet?
Because what I've done is not illegal. I've seen people.
When I did it, they said it was illegal.
When I've provided people actual services, and if you can prove otherwise, you should do so.
So that's the loophole.
I saw them in person, and I provided them services. And it'd be like saying a lawyer, because they got you had to plead guilty, that the lawyer was doing something.
Asking what type of chemical dependency degree he has.
A doctor or someone else. If you get cancer and the doctor tells you get cancer and you sue them, it's ridiculous. I provided the services, and the thing you're referring to is that pissed off. Is that what you're referring to? The pissed off?
Yes.
Website.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a fraud as well. They send you notices saying we won't publish this if you give us money.
How many frauds? How many people are currently trying to smear your name?
I have no idea. I've never. To tell you the truth, and this is the honest truth, I've never even looked at the ABC News thing that was published 8 years ago. I've refused to look at any of those other things. I occasionally,
7 years ago.
On the pissed off thing, I just simply tell the truth that these people paid for a service. I provided the service for them, and they try to say that I'm not licensed, but I am. And so I just confront the lies with the truth.
So this is.
And I'm happy to do it, and I'm happy to tell the truth on your show. I got to go right now because I've got some business to do. But if you'd like to set up a interview, I'm happy to do a live interview with you anytime you want.
He's good. You're good.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I understand you got a victim waiting. All right. See you.
Bye. Thanks. Tell Dan I said hi.
Okay, will do. What a great guy, Dan.
I'm telling you, this is he will double down, bro. He will just stick to his guns. He has no license in the field of helping people with DSM-5s, chemical dependency evaluations. He's not licensed by any state to do so. I think that's the problem, is he's basically saying, if you can prove otherwise, go ahead and do it. And the problem is nobody's willing to spend the money to go after this guy.
Well, and the fraud is that he's saying that they hired me to do this and I did it. Like, if you're unlicensed, okay, so you're unlicensed, and maybe that's a civil case. If they can track him down, he's in multiple states.
Right.
So most of these organizations don't work well together. Like, hey, if you're in the Department of Banking and Finance in Florida, you don't necessarily, and your people are not being, the Floridians are not being defrauded as a result of, let's say, a banking regulations or something. But in Georgia, they are. Like, there's no reason for Florida to do anything. So he's kind of going back and forth over state lines, which muddies it. He's also providing a service. So what he's able to say is, Your Honor, or whoever's investigating, like, I provided the service. They're not happy with the service, but that doesn't mean that it's fraud. It's not fraud. They're just not happy with the service I provided. Right? Like,
I don't know that it's not fraud, though, because he's posing. It's like if I came to you and said, and you're pretending to be a doctor that has credentials to perform a substance abuse evaluation that can be like, even the court. This is how bad the courts are. The courts no longer send him business, by the way. They've stopped because they found out he didn't have any actual credential. But he poses as somebody that has these credentials, and then he generates a report. But the problem is the report is not. It's like getting a diploma. It's like if I wrote a diploma and gave it to you. The diploma offers nothing that you can use anywhere. And I don't know if he's got people signing some fine print somewhere running the con, but I do believe, and you know this, that if the federal government decides to step in, I'm sure there's plenty of muddy water that they could create a nice indictment on this guy. There just hasn't been eyeballs that have looked at him yet under that microscope.
Oh, bro, I love that he doubled down.
I told you that's why it's like hard to interview him, because he won't admit it. He says it with such conviction that he believes it. Well, my client was in prison and he ran his credit card for another $1,500 and said the client gave him permission. The client didn't even know anything about this until after the fact.
Did you Did you know Marcus Shrinker?
Mm,
Remember,
no.
he had jumped out of an airplane, tried to fake his own death.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was the same way. It was almost impossible to paint him into a corner. And he just double down. He just keep lying and lying and lying. And he literally one time I literally went to him with all the documents, and I wrote a book on him called Bailout. It's really interesting. If anybody wants to buy it, it's on Barnes and Noble's website. You can buy it.
We'll drop a link in the video for it.
Nice. So Marcus Shrinker, one time I went to him and I had, he was a pathological liar, and he was always doubling down and always just spinning and spinning. And one time I went to him and I said, look, Marcus, so at this point, this is when, as we were writing I was doing the outline, I was kind of expanding on the outline. I said, okay, so at this point you were being sued. And I said, tell me about that. And he goes, Matt, I was never sued. But I'm used to this. So I went, you were never sued. He goes, no. I said, was your company ever sued? No. Were you ever sued on behalf of the company? And he goes, Matt, you would think I would know if I was sued. And I said, you would think. And so I pull out one of the lawsuits and I go, boom, here's Mutual Life Insurance Company. They sued you for $1.5 million. And he looked at it, he goes, well, where did you get this? And I go, I ordered the Freedom of Information Act. I got it from them. It was the insurance, whatever department, and, and the state. And so he looked at it and he goes, oh yeah. Okay. No. I understand. Yeah. I was sued here. You're right. I was sued here. He goes, no, they sued my company. I go, no, they sued the company and you on behalf of the company and you individually. And he goes, oh, okay. Now I understand. Yeah. I was sued here. And I said, were you sued any other time? He goes, no, Matt, this is it. And I go, really? Are you sure? No more lawsuits? He goes, no. Boom, threw out another one. This is, whatever, ABC law, a lawsuit from ABC Insurance Company. He goes, so he starts to stammer. I pull out another one and another one. I said, Marcus, do you want me to pull out all the lawsuits? He looks at me and he goes, okay, now I understand. And I go, he said, now I see it, why you're confused. I go, I'm confused because you're lying to me. And he goes, okay, now I understand. He said, Matt, of course I was sued. I owned a large wealth management company. We were sued all the time. It would be strange if we weren't sued. Just like that, within a minute, he went from we were never sued to we were sued all the time. And then he started telling me, like this lawsuit, here's what happened. He starts telling me about the lawsuit. Like, people don't understand the depth of just how disturbed people are.
And that's this guy. I think he's been telling these lies for, I don't know how long he's been in this, but let's say since the 80s he's been doing this. So he's been telling the same lie for 40 years. He's gotten really good at sticking to a story, and unless he's forced with in a courtroom where his bullshit doesn't matter, he can just sit there and lie and not take any accountability. Check fraud.
These are all the charges. These are all of his.
Yeah. Look at all these charges. He's never been in trouble before. These are all fucking felonies, bro. Look at felony. He says he's not a convicted felon. He did go to jail. And here's where, so the fine print on there, it says he could be suspected of potential sex offense, but we don't know if that's true or not. So we'll just skip past that. But then it's got a bunch of other, hold on, so let me get past this bullshit. Come on. Here we go. So these are social profiles, in case anybody's looking for them online. All of this is in the link. But then it also has, I think he's got a bunch of, here we go. Unless I already passed it. Business contacts. He owns, that's the one you saw, right? At Harmony Mountain Treatment Services.
Yeah.
See, it says Santa Rosa, California, but it's not in California. Business profiles. These are all the different addresses that he has businesses supposedly listed. I think these are probably, if I had to guess, these are probably either PO boxes or like UPS stores. Corporate filings. These are businesses that he supposedly owned, but it's got on here, it should have licenses, as we can see, There's no licenses. If he had a doctor in anything or an MD or any type of that would be listed in a background search. Here we go. Possible bankruptcies. Look at here we go. This is fun. He's got this one right here. Bankruptcy for okay. There's a $325, nothing big. $325 lien, $6,500 lien, $1,100 lien, an $1,100 lien, $10,500 lien, a judgment for the amount of $12,000 judgment.
Yeah.
There's
another one.
Here's another one for $1,900. He's got another judgment for $1,200. Assets. So if you're looking to get anything, according to the records, he's got no assets. But yeah, and he'll sit here and tell you he's got no felonies. This is what I'm saying is he flat out told you that the judge threw it out and that, oh, I got tired of going back and forth. He never once came to Spokane. Everything he had to do was over the phone and Zoom and things like that. He pled guilty because if he didn't plead guilty, he was going to go to jail for at least a year. So they gave him a suspended sentence for pleading guilty to 2 felony counts of identity fraud. And if that would have been the feds, it probably would have been aggravated identity fraud, and he would have had a minimum of 2 years in prison.
Yeah.
So, you know, the time is expiring for him because he does this. It's not 1980 anymore, Richard. We now live in the dawn of the internet where it's very easy to tie somebody down. There's nowhere you can't just keep opening up different names and creating different aliases. You know, it's a real ugly crime. And again, I come back to, you know, people can change, people can reform, and you know, he'll sit here and try to say that I'm a con, I'm a scam, knowing that I help thousands of people. And I'm not going to say he's never helped anybody. I don't know that he has or hasn't. But when you're creating documents with the purpose of helping somebody get through a very, very tough time when it's substance abuse related or mental health related, and you're taking their money and defrauding them, and you've got these poor people. I wish you would have dug in a little bit more about the halfway houses. You know, these people relapsed. That's why they got kicked out. I mean,
he's not going to say that, but he's not going to admit, yes, I knew I was being evicted. They were being evicted. I took their money because the people were saying they gave him the money, not the court.
Right.
That woman said it was like they gave him the money, and he'd actually been served an eviction notice prior.
Right.
To receiving them. So on Monday, you're given an eviction notice and you're taking money from people on Wednesday, knowing they're going to be thrown out.
He could have at least hired a fucking foreclosure company or something to fight it, to let these people stay in there, but literally took money. One lady paid, what was it, $1,000 something, and then got kicked out the next week living in her car.
Yeah, living in her
and
car.
she wasn't a spring chicken. She looked like she was probably 60 years old. I mean, it's just so grimy, dude. It's so grimy. And he has not learned one lesson from this entire process. He just doubled down, and backs up his lie. And he'll come on here and talk to you. And hopefully he will. Maybe it'll incriminate himself further. So if this ever gets used for any court proceedings. But yeah, man, I'm glad you're going to post this because this is going to be on Matt's channel and my channel. Because he was like, go ahead. Do your little video recording, RDAP Dan, with your 3 followers.
Oh, that's what. Oh, yeah, you got to say that when you called him to tell him.
I sent him a message. I said, "Hey, we're going to be doing a video on you." The guy that actually sent me some of this information was going to do the video too, but we decided because it's more interesting talking to somebody about this, and I decided to keep him silent so he can continue to extract information from Dr. D-Bag. And then when he said, go ahead and put it on your YouTube channel with your whole 3 followers, I felt, you know what, let me reach out to Matt because Matt's got a couple more than 3 followers. So yeah, I think this will bring some attention. So guys, please, if you've been taken advantage by this guy or feel like you've been taken advantage and you've done anything like filing a police report or you're trying to get your money back or you want some resource, there's a link in the description of this video where you can fill out a form. We'll gather all this information and we'll put it in the hands of the right legal departments. What do you want to add to this, Matt?
I'm not going to sit here and listen to you talk bad about a physician who's clearly trying to help people. I refuse to listen to this.
Man, this is great.
Who's dedicated his life to helping people.
Fuck yeah.
12 years of schooling, and you're just flippantly talking bad about him. It's not
12,
right.
12 years of eating cereal and taking the cracker box at the end and calling it a degree.
Yeah, that's what other doctor isn't there? Is it Dr. Phil's not a real doctor, is he? Is he? Like,
I don't
there's one of these
know.
doctors that are like Dr. So and so, like, and
How
he's
are
not
you
a
even
real
allowed to put
doctor.
doctor in front of your name if you're not a fucking doctor? I just don't
That's
understand
what
this.
kills me.
I'm gonna start telling people, Doctor RDAP here.
Yeah, Dr. Dan.
Dr. Dan. It's already a joke. Shelly's dad, because I went to prison for working at the pain clinic that was run by a doctor. So once I went to prison, it was like, "Tell Dr. Dan I said hi." So yeah, I'm already Dr. Dan. I don't know if he really talks like that or not, but
Well, yeah, I don't have anything else. It's good
yeah.
stuff. It is good stuff.
So I'll send you his well, you have his phone number. You just send him a text and see if he'll agree to do a video. And if he does, I would love to
We should get can you get the transcripts?
oh yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
get the transcripts and I'll be like,
Yeah, we'll order they're free. They're free. Spokane's great with that. It might be like $15. It was but yeah, I have he sat there and said how I had a fake detective. It was the fucking Spokane County detective from Spokane City. He's like Dan's friend. This is how disconnected this weirdo is, man. So yeah, hide your children, hide your wives. If you need substance abuse help, don't go out to him. Go to either your local, go to your court, have them refer you somebody, reach out to me. We'll put you in contact with somebody, but stay away from this guy because he's just going to make your life a lot worse than it already is.
it would be great to be if I could really. I wonder if he'd really do. He answered the phone. He talked to me. He'll probably come on the podcast.
I think he will. I think he's that sure of himself that he can talk his way out of a paper bag that he'll probably come on and try to defend his shenanigans.
That'd be great to be able to say, hey, and have his police record here. This is a felony. This is a felony. This is a felony. This is a you said that this is what they said on court. Boom. This is what happened. You actually pled to this. That detective you said was fake. Well,
I have the detective's name. The detective emailed him and CC'd me on it and said, "I assure you, Dr. Diffenderfer, I am very real." And there's an investigation. He responded back, "Have your superior call me." It's like, motherfucker, you're not the one in charge here. So yeah, he just lives in the land of delusion, and somebody is going to pull the curtain on him. And if he's lucky, it's going to be the courts or the legal system. If he continues this way, it's going to be somebody's son or somebody that he just ruined their life, and they're going to come and knocking, and he may not be home. His wife might be home. He's putting a lot of people in danger by living his life like this. Very reckless, sir. That's all I got.
All I care about is it's good entertainment. It's just good content. That's what I'm concerned.
This one's a good one.
So we'll see. We'll have to. We'll keep looking. We'll keep doing it.
Let's go ahead and let's do a Matt Cox sign off.
Yeah.
Hey, hope you all appreciate it. I can't even do it.
You're not because you're super. You're very reserved and you're very. You know what it is. You're very. I don't want to say genuine because I'm genuine, but I'm genuinely always a knucklehead. You're very serious and poignant, and you want people to, you're trying to help people, and you're trying to do like all these things I'm not trying to do. You're trying to be like a good person and a nice person and everything.
Matt, what'd you text me yesterday, Matt? Hold on, we got
listen, but that's all by accident. That's all accidental.
In real life, I'm a big teddy bear. That's pretty much what you said, word for word, Matt.
You said a big softie.
Oh, big softie?
That's because
T-Rex.
In the morning, I text people Christmas songs.
He sure as shit does.
But I didn't do it this morning. I haven't done it yet. I haven't done today's the first.
You didn't send me one today. What's going on? Are you on drugs or something? You relapse? I don't know what's going on, Matt.
Today is the first. Today is the first day I haven't done it yet. I'm gonna do it. And I've remembered several times, but I've been in the middle. So like I remembered here this time.
You sent me yesterday White Christmas from the Drifters. The day before that, you sent me Christmas Carol playlist. The day before that, you sent me Christmas music featuring Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra, Jingle Bell Rock, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Every day. Classic. You know what? And it's actually
the classic.
I like getting it because I wake up earlier I've been getting up earlier in the morning. I take my dog for a walk and get my mind right. And all of a sudden I hear except my AirPods in, you have a message from Matt Cox. And I'm like, oh boy, what am I? And I don't even look. I just hit play to see what it is. And then Shelly was with me. She's like, what are you laughing at? And I'm like, listen to this. This is what Matt sends me every morning. And she asked if he was okay. I was like, no. He did this last year too. This is completely normal. But yeah, man, I love it. I love that you do this. I think you're fun. You're a fucking character for sure, but you're also the same character in real life. All right, I'm gonna sign off. That's enough gloating for me. His head's too fucking big. We gotta let him catch up there. Oh shit. Oh, just clicked off on it. All right, guys, RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. Go check out Matt's channel. I'm sure you already have. Definitely, if you found yourself in some hot water and you had run-ins with the Richard D, there's a link in the description of this video. You are more than welcome to fill it out, send it over to us, and if we can get them taken down, we'll get them taken down. RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, people helping people, communities method, one day at a time. See you guys next time. Peace.